Hey, Bulls and Bears, how are we doing? It's Wednesday, and we're back with another blast of economic reality. Somebody said they liked a blast of economic reality better than a dose of economic reality. Let's get into the financial economic news. We've got a lot to talk about. eBay is going to report me to the IRS, and it's not just eBay. If you sell anything, if you make $600 or more on a side hustle, you're going to be reported to the IRS. So basically, they're going to try to squeeze, what's the saying, squeeze blood out of a rock, or I don't know what it is. They're going to try to squeeze the paycheck to paycheck crowd to pay off, what is now $31 trillion in the national debt. And you notice the debt never decreases. Even during times of economic strength, or what's called economic booms, the national debt never decreases. I'm a little bit under the weather. You might see it in my face today, but I'm all right. I'm here to report this today to you. Also, first world countries, not just third world nations or third world countries, are seeing um, real economic panic here. Don't panic buy, is what they're saying. France taps strategic reserve after gas stations run out of fuel. This is in France, not Zimbabwe, not Venezuela, in France. And it's a matter of time before it happens here in the U.S. In the U.S., we've been burning through our strategic reserves. And you think gas prices are high now, just wait. We're at six something a gallon here in California. It's going to get a lot worse, in my opinion, even though oil per barrel is under $90. Now, on that topic, OPEC, they just had a meeting. They are to cut oil production by 2 million barrels per day to prevent prices from falling further. So get ready for more pain at the pump. Nearly half of Americans making six figures are living paycheck to paycheck. People used to question or debate me about the whole 70% of people living paycheck to paycheck. So if half of people that are making six figures are living paycheck to paycheck, it wouldn't be too much of a surprise that 70% of everyone is living paycheck to paycheck. When you count people that are making less than six figures, when you put it all in together, is it a surprise that 70% of people are living paycheck to paycheck? It makes sense when you see this, and this just came out here recently. Half of Americans making six figures living paycheck to paycheck. So a lot of these people took out enormous college loans. Once you put yourself in that category, once you get a degree and you're in a lot of debt, you want to look the part. You want to look like you're making six figures. So what do people do? They go out and buy the biggest house. They take out the biggest loan that they can qualify for. They want to live in the nicest neighborhood. They want to drive the cool car. So they want to look the part, right? So that's what I think is happening. Please let me know what you think down in the comments. But as far as this $600 thing being reported to the IRS, the last time I did my taxes, they were asking me if I found any money, if I won any money at a casino, if I sold anything, even garage sales and rummage sales. They wanted to know what I sold so they can collect more from me to help pay for all the spending, which is impossible to pay off. Does anyone think that $31 trillion is going to be paid off? Right? You can raise taxes to 100%. The $31 trillion in debt is not going to be paid off. Let's talk about housing. The housing market is correcting very gradually. We saw the 10-year bond rise again today, and that's going to mean higher mortgage rates. Now, also recent news, mortgage applications, the pace of new applications has plunged to a 25-year low. So we're going all the way back to the late 90s, folks. So this is beyond the housing bust levels from 2007, 2008. We're going back to the late 90s, 25-year plunge. So will this continue? This is going to be pretty interesting to see what happens this winter. We're officially in the fall now. What's going to happen this winter with the housing market? And there's been talks now since what happened over in the UK with the central bank over there changing course. Will the Fed do the same thing here as soon as something breaks? I'll tell you what's going to break first, though, before anything in the market really breaks, before we see a crash or before we see a series of bank failures. The U.S. consumer is failing, and a lot of people are failing. They're so far in debt that they're never going to get out. Look at the rising interest rates on people's credit cards. People already have record credit card debt. This does not end well. The higher rates should have came when people had less debt to prevent the bubbles from forming. So now we have record prices in lots of different categories, record debt. So people have to use their credit card more just to survive, combined with these high interest rates. This is an absolute disaster for most people. And now you've got side hustles being looked at for more people to pay their fair share, when a lot of times that when people are selling things, they're already losing money. Think about this. I sold stuff on eBay today, this year, and it equaled more than $600. That's why I got this form I had to fill out through eBay to report it to the IRS. But these are things I lost money on. So you buy something, you use it for 6 months, a year, whatever. You sell it for less than you bought it for. You paid taxes when you bought it, and you sell it for less than you bought it for. Now you've got to pay taxes on what you made for something that you lost money on. That's why it's very important to be very strategic on your taxes. I'm not a tax advisor, but you can write things off as business expenses. If you do any sort of side hustle, that's a whole nother category, a whole nother video. Somebody that's very good on YouTube, it's Mike, and I believe he is a certified accountant. Mike over at Money in Life TV, I believe that's the name of the channel. If that's not right, I'll correct it with the text here on the screen. But people are being bled dry, and this is just one thing on top of another on top of another. It's going to cause more pain for. And I hate to see people that aren't prepared for this or just don't know what's coming, because even a lot of us here, we knew this was coming. We know what's ahead. We know what to expect. And even with that, it's going to be very, very challenging to stay on top of this, to stay prepared. So I hope everyone here is doing well. Thanks everybody for your support, for coming back to this channel. We're going to make this brief one today. So please let me know what you think down in comments about, will this $31 trillion in debt be paid off by the working people, the average person, the working class, the middle class? Or is it a Ponzi scheme? It can never be paid off because the debt is so enormous that even if you took 100% of everyone's earnings and income, it can never be paid off. I think it can never be paid off, and a lot of you agree, because I've asked this question previously. I think a couple years ago we talked about this, but it's becoming more apparent now that this is a Ponzi scheme that was destined to fail. It was destined to crush the working class while enriching the select few. That's what I think. Please let me know what you think down in the comments. Thanks for being here. Bye for now.